welcome to Making Musician. It's me, your host Helen, and it is the end of my first week doing The Artist's Way, and I am a big fan, so let's talk about it. The title of this week's chapter is Recovering a Sense of Safety, and you know those like weird times when the universe basically just sends you everything you didn't know you needed? That was me this week. The first big breakthrough I had happened at the beginning of this week, and it was just really odd. I was driving to one of my jobs, I just was feeling really overwhelmed, and so I didn't want to put in any music, which is really odd for me. And while I was driving, I just got this phrase just like washed over me, and it was, I release myself from all expectations, which is very woo-woo and not at all like me, but I just like kept repeating it, and it kept going and cycling through my head while I was driving, which is again really odd for me. And I realized that the huge, heavy, unrealistic expectations that I am carrying with me everywhere are really weighing me down and making it basically pretty close to impossible for me to succeed at literally anything in life. And it's really stifling my creativity, and it's just not good for me. I probably should absolutely cut that the heck out. As a musician, I'm always blasting something, and I never sit in silence in the car. But I think that this was really like the universe being like, girl, you need to hear this. And that's very woo-woo, which is kind of unlike me, but I don't know. On this creativity journey, I am slowly but surely becoming a little bit more of like a woo-woo kind of a gal. For the first time in a very long time, I could feel my little creative genius inside of me, and I realized how mean I've been being to them and how not helpful basically all of my inner dialogue is, which is not great. There are different activities that accompany each week's module that you do, so here are the ones that I did this week. So there's a writing on your past lives. Basically, you come up with 5 things that you think you would enjoy having, like alternate careers. First of all, this activity was really hard for me because I love what I do so much. So I couldn't come up with anything that I would like to be instead of being a musician, which is kind of a good sign. Feels like I'm on the right path. That's pretty solid. But I did think of things that I think I would enjoy doing if I couldn't be a musician. And it was interesting because they all are things that I could implement more in my life as a musician, and that I would think would make me happier and just give me an even more well-rounded career, which is really cute. Really cute, really cool, who knows? The only one that wasn't like super straightforward was an engineer. I would more like to be like an old-timey inventor. I love tinkering with things, I love making things, I love like coming up with crazy ideas and seeing if I can really execute them. I want to see how I can bring more like creative, like actual making of things into my life as a musician, because I think I am kind of lacking in like a hands-on making like tangible creative things. Music is not a super tactile art form, and I think that I would enjoy something a little bit more like building and tactile heavy. So maybe for my artist's date this coming week, I'll figure out something I can do with that. I think that'd be really cool. So one of the other things I thought I would really enjoy was being a teacher or a professor, which I mean, I teach. I do have a studio, and then I'm really enjoying making these videos, which is kind of like another form of teaching slash being a professor. And then I have a lecture series and like education welcome to the opera series that I do both for Arizona Opera. So I do get to teach, and I do get to kind of be a professor, which is really cool. And I realized how important that part of my work is to me. And so I think I might try to lean into that a little bit more, because I think that'll be very satisfying. I did something with a visual medium. You know, as a kid, I really enjoyed visual art. So like drawing and creating things. I said I might enjoy something in the realm of painting or photography, and I think that makes a lot of sense for me. That seems like something that I do now and I really love doing. Recently I started doing headshots, and I started getting more into photography. So I think one of my artist's dates might be going out and taking photos in like landscapes, or just like kind of going out and walking through downtown and just taking pictures of things that kind of call to me and seem interesting. I think that would be a really fun one. Still in the realm of being a musician, but just looking at more like jazz, specifically like either jazz vocals or jazz piano, because I do love that genre of music. So I am doing 30 days of jazz as my most recent challenge, and I think that's really, really cool, really exciting. I'm gonna have a good time with it. I'm a couple days into that, and I'm really, really loving it. Also, the 20-minute walk, that is a big activity for this week. Now, everybody knows if they've seen this channel at any point that I am a huge fan of a walk. So this one, I mean, it's not even like I set out to do it because it was on the list. It's just something I do a lot. And I think that this helped me remember that sometimes taking a little period of silence and just taking a break is really, really great, because I've noticed recently the more space I give myself away from work, the more creative I am. And I've noticed that as I've kind of like stopped bullying myself and been nicer to myself and just worked to have a little bit more of a life in my work-life balance, I have seen that I get more creative ideas, especially while I'm out doing things like being on a walk and doing things that are not work related. I think in this chapter, Julia Cameron does talk about like Albert Einstein, I think, talking about having really great ideas in the shower a lot, which makes sense because when we give our brain a second to just breathe and relax, it comes up with a lot of cool ideas. So I really enjoyed that, and I want to keep exploring more ways to give myself downtime so that I can just like rest and recharge. Morning pages, I did 7 days out of 7. Like 2 days in, I almost forgot. Like I started making coffee and almost like picked up my phone and started going through it, and then I was like, oh, I have morning pages, but yeah, 7 out of 7, big fan. And then for my artist's date, so the artist's date days are Saturdays. So the Saturday, like this past Saturday, I did my artist's date, and I went to the art supply store and I bought some stuff to draw because as a kid I enjoyed drawing, and I really think that planning my artist's dates based on either just like things I enjoy doing, you know, things that are either like quite cheap or very free, or just things that really call to me, and also things that are somehow related to the past lives that I thought would be really great for me. I think that's a solid choice. I'm very happy with that choice. So I think today is also Saturday, so I'm doing my artist's date for next week, and I think I might, for the following artist's date this week, I'm getting a massage. I don't know if that breaks the rules or not, because technically there is someone else there, but girl, my artist needs a massage. She needs a break. She's had a rough week. But yeah, I really enjoyed drawing. I really enjoyed my artist's date, and so here's some footage of the artist's date from this week. So I had several realizations this week, and I can't say whether all of them are related to the course, but it also seems like it makes a lot of sense that I gave myself a little more space to like be creative and understand the world and like just realize things, and then suddenly I started having a better world understanding and realizing things. It feels like that makes sense that that would be related. I realized that like I knew I was always my biggest bully, and I always knew I wasn't very nice to myself. But this week, after starting to be even just slightly nicer to myself, I think it started to dawn on me the absolute like quantity, scope, and like vastness of the issue. I really didn't get how bad it was. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Wow, boy, am I cruel to myself, and I say things to myself that I would never dream of saying to another person, and also that I would never let another person say to me. Like if somebody else spoke to me the way that I speak to me, I would probably promptly go fight them in the street. Like I would have no chill. I would not be okay with that, and I wouldn't put up with it. So it doesn't really make sense that I put up with it from myself. And you know, based on some of the life experiences I've had, I understand why I am the way I am, but I've also come to realize that I'm probably not interested in living the rest of my life like that, and so we are just going on a nice little become your own best friend kind of a journey. That's gonna be fun because I realize that I'm so mean to myself that I literally don't have any room to succeed. I feel like the rest of the world is bullying me enough, and I don't need to add to that. So no more. And I also get that this is definitely going to be a gradual process. It's not going to be easy, but it is something I'm seriously committing to working on. One of the other huge realizations I had this week was that I really need to listen to my body. I have been having some medical issues that I'm not really super ready to talk about yet, but I had some appointments with a couple of specialists this week, and I wasn't listening to my body. I basically thought that the symptoms I was having were just in my head. They were from stress, and it wasn't anything real, and I didn't need to like actually worry about it or take it seriously or take care of myself. When in reality, like when your body is showing you that it's time to slow down and take care of yourself, and just that something's wrong, I need to change. My strategy was just like push through, keep working, keep working harder, try harder. Like things aren't working because I'm just not trying hard enough, and that was really bad for my health, and I'm now dealing with the repercussions of that, which is not so solid, which is not what I wanted in life. So whoops. it's probably a shock to no one, myself included, that my system of bullying myself relentlessly and then pushing through and pushing myself was not successful or helpful or beneficial. And if you're interested in watching that journey, girl, subscribe to the channel. Okay. And another realization I had this week is that most of the bad things that have happened to me in life actually don't have anything to do with me. So this week's chapter focuses a lot on maybe healing trauma from your childhood that have to do with like people maybe telling you your creativity is not good enough or that you're not good enough. And I had a lot of that in my childhood. I'm sure that everybody did. I had two specific teachers that I was with in school for a number of years that really, for whatever reason, didn't like me. I think they saw things about me that just like they saw themselves reflected in a way that they didn't find flattering. And one of them I had when I was quite young, and she really, it feels like maybe she worked a little harder than necessary to make sure that I would be humiliated in class, or like to make sure that I didn't feel good about myself. I never felt smart in that class. And the thing that's really rough is I really looked up to this teacher. I thought she was amazing. I thought she was just like the most incredible woman, and I wanted to be just like her. And now looking back, you know, I thought she was being mean to me because I wasn't good enough, and that was really bad for my self-esteem. And now I realize that that was a grown woman who didn't know what the hell she was doing with her life and was for some reason taking it out on a 10-year-old, which me as a now grown woman see that that is wildly inappropriate, and that no qualified like good educator would ever treat a student in the ways that she treated me, and that it had nothing to do with my value as a student or as a person. Yeah, that kind of messed me up a little bit. And then, you know, I also did have another teacher who just, you know, a music teacher that couldn't be nice to me, and I think that they just have their own things they need to work on. And it was the same thing where I really looked up to this person and I thought, wow, they're being bad to me because I'm bad, because I'm not good enough, and obviously like they're great and I'm the one that's garbage. And that's not true. You know, I was going through my own things, I was working really hard, I was doing everything that you should do as a student. I was a great student, and I was a nice person. I was fantastic, and this person just couldn't, because of their own like life and situation and probably like self-esteem, they just couldn't be around that, and they were really bad to me. And I am working on realizing that that has nothing to do with me. And then another thing that I'm reading this week, so I'm reading a book that talks about the stress cycle, the human like natural stress cycle. The stress cycle is really important, and we have 3 responses for survival. We have fight and flight, which we're very aware of. And then if your body thinks that neither of those are going to be successful, you have this thing called freeze, which is basically like the body's way of helping you die in what they think is going to be the least painful way possible. And I think that I have been kind of stuck in a freeze response with some things in life. During caveman days, if you thought you were gonna die, once the threat is gone, you realize you're not gonna die, and you do this thing where you celebrate. The stress moves all the way through your body. You realize that the danger is gone, and you can like recover and move on with your life. But when your stressors are different and they are not a lion, but maybe a job that's really stressful for you, a boss that's not so nice, or something like that, like something that's not a lion that is gonna either like kill you, or you're not gonna die at the end of it, and then you're gonna realize you're okay and move on. So I am working on helping myself to finish the stress response and complete my stress cycles so that I cannot be in this like freeze, fight or flight, very stressed out mode. So a lot of exciting realizations this week, and I can't wait to talk to you about how week 2 goes. All right, thank you. That's it for me. Bye.